Matt Tait, R1S1Sports.com. He covers KU, also covers Kansas basketball, but right now the topic is their football team, and it should be playing in Austin against number 3 Texas, and KU with Lance Leipold ranked inside the top 25. Matt with David Smoak and also Craig Smoak. Matt, thank you very much for your time. The thoughts, this seems to be a very solid KU team. It seems like yet another year as they build with what they've done in the last year and a half. What are the expectations for the game in Austin?
Yeah, well, great question and great to talk to you guys. Appreciate you having me. I think that you can look at it a million different ways. You can look at it from the standpoint that Texas is ranked number 3 in the country and a big-time program right now. And as you guys saw recently, they're pretty damn good. And so you go down there and you just hope that things go okay. But that's really not the way Kansas is approaching anything. I mean, they're going down there expecting to win. And I think they can win. I don't know if I'd pick them outright, but I think they can win the game. I think there's a path for that. But their whole focus, their whole philosophy under this whole turnaround under Leipold has just been, just keep working, just 1% better every day, and just focus on what you've got right in front of you. Don't think too big, don't think too long term. Don't worry about any of that stuff. Just worry about what's next and what's right in front of you, and that's what they're doing. And I thought one of the most telling things from Leipold this week was, they're 4-0, they're feeling good. Confidence is up. They've got a couple of good wins. BYU was a good win. Illinois at home was a good win. I mean, there's a lot to like about this start, but no one is acting like they're college football playoff bound or anything like that. And Leipold said flat out this week, he said, this next third of our season is going to really tell us who we are. The first third, we took care of business. We did what we had to do. We're 4-0. We love it, but this next third is going to be really interesting. And in that third, you've got Texas, obviously, this week. You've got Oklahoma in there as well. You've got Central Florida coming in. They're going to find out just how real that 4-0 record is and just how real their hopes and expectations are for this season. Their hopes and expectations entering the season, compete for a Big 12 championship. And the fact that we're talking about that without laughing right after it is incredible to me. I mean, that's how massive this turnaround job has been and how quick it's happened. And, Lance deserves every penny. He deserves a statue. He deserves a plane to fly over Lawrence 24 hours a day with his big picture pulled behind it. I mean, the guy has done the unthinkable here, and he's done it quickly. So, really, really cool to see. It's been really fun to cover, but yeah, these are the types of games where they have to show up. If they want to make that next jump. They want to show people that they're real, and actually, contenders in the Big 12. These are the games they have to show up in. And it can't be like last year at Baylor was, right? You guys remember that game. I mean, Kansas was in that game, but they weren't in that game, and I think they dug a 21-0 hole or something like that. So you can't have that. Even if the final score is only 10 points, you got to be in the game. And, I think that's obviously the focus right now is to show up, start fast, and play physical and see what happens. So it's going to be. I do think they're they're up for the challenge, and I think it's going to be a big time atmosphere and a big time game. And like I said, I think there's a path there that ends with Kansas winning the game. But I think they'd have to play about a perfect football game, and whether they do that or not, we'll see.
Matt, I think you laid out just the turnaround and how incredible that's been pretty well. Just curious on that note, and even with there being obviously a long way to go and a lot of games to play, just what's it been like the last year or so with those results, and how has that fired up the Kansas, like what's been the Kansas fan base kind of look throughout this entire process after the years of just the worst of the worst?
Yeah, I mean, they're excited to go again, Football's a thing. Saturday afternoon, Saturday morning, whatever it is. People don't go to the game because, well, I guess I better. Or, we got these damn tickets. Nobody will take them. I mean, they're looking forward to it all week, and they plan around it. And they want to go, and that's cool. That's what college football is all about, and they've really been missing that, and these fans have been missing it. And so to see it come back, with relative ease because this program's earned it, That's pretty cool. But it's also in the building. There's a lot of guys on that roster that are upperclassmen, seniors and graduate seniors and all that stuff that are super seniors, I guess, that were around for a lot of those miserable years. And for them to be able to enjoy this and experience this and feel good about themselves, that's pretty cool to see too, because it is a roster of a bunch of good guys, good kids. They work hard, and even when they were trash, they worked hard. That's one of the things that often gets overlooked with bad football teams. It's not always a lack of effort or a lack of trying. Those guys work as hard as anyone. They want to be good. They just, whether it's a coach or missing pieces or injuries or all of that combined, I mean, sometimes it's just not there. And for Kansas, it wasn't there for a decade plus. So to see those guys who kind of went through some of that, I mean, Jalen Daniels is a perfect example, man. When he jumped out as a true freshman, started his first game at Kansas as a 17-year-old, I mean, the kid got clobbered. Their offensive line was awful, and he got destroyed every single play. He hopped up every time, clapping before he even landed on his feet again, and had his signature smile, and that was part of the turn, right? Like, he also needed to protect himself and get down and not get killed, but he showed that, hey, I can take this. I'm going to get back up, and I'm going to clap, and we're going to be positive. And so for him to have started that way and then now to be, one of the best quarterbacks in the country and certainly in the conference, you just can't help but feel good for those guys. And again, they've put in the work, they've earned it, and this is it. This is what they play for. This game, they're ranked. Texas is a big-time program again. They're ranked high. I mean, this is, they always talk about why you come to Kansas to play basketball, and it's to play those big Monday games against Baylor, with the league on the line or whatever. But this is why these guys come here to play in a game like this. So I think they'll be ready for the challenge. But like I said, I do think, to get out of there with a win, I think they've got to play perfect, and they've probably got to get a break or two, just because Texas looks to be really damn good.
Yeah, they do. And firsthand saw them last week, as you know, and they were pretty damn good. Now, one thing that was definitely noticeable from Kansas' game against BYU was just the impact the defense made. I mean, a couple of touchdowns, a turnover on downs. I mean, getting some big stops and big momentum swinging type plays. Kobe Bryant was the Big 12 Defensive Player of the Week, had an interception in the scoop and the scoop and score touchdown. How much better are they, Matt? I mean, how would you kind of break down the Kansas defense and what you've seen up to this point? Obviously, UT, a monster challenge. They can hit the big explosive plays. But how have you seen the Jayhawks defense kind of evolve since last season?
Yeah, well, they are better. And a big part of the reason is experience. And a big part of the reason is confidence. And a big part of the reason is depth. So you throw all those things in your favor, and you can't help but get better, So it starts up front. Their defensive line's been really good this year, and it's a mixture of transfers from the portal coming in. Guys like Devin Phillips from Colorado State. He's been really good plugging up the middle. Austin Booker from Minnesota, really been disruptive and a nice impact type of player. But they've got some holdovers too that are playing bigger roles for the first time, and a guy like Jeremy Robinson and a guy like Hayden Hatcher. I mean, those guys have played snaps and they've been a part of things in the past, but this is their time right now, and so they've played really well. And I think what's happening up front on defense is they've got 7, 8, 9 guys and they're rotating them, and so that's really helped them stay fresh, and it's helped them give different looks, and no two guys are the same, so. That's really been a big part of the success there. And then, their secondary has been pretty good. I mean, they've got names you've heard. They've got all Big 12 type of players, Kobe Bryant, Kenny Logan. I mean, guys that have been around and played a lot of football and played at a high level. So it really does start up front, and the push they're getting and just the way they've been able to hang and help control the line of scrimmage, most of the time, not every time, of course, but that D-line's been really good. And again, it comes back to that's great. That's nice. That's what you want to see for 4 games. But can you do it this week against Texas? Can you do it against the physical Longhorns? Can you do it against the big boys who are those 5-star recruits that everybody talks about? And we'll see. I mean, that's they're certainly motivated by that challenge, but a lot of teams are motivated by that, and a lot of teams come out of there with very little success to show for it. So, their defense is good, and they've been a playmaking type of defense so far. And so, anytime you have an offense like Kansas has that can go up and down the field with anybody and score, name your point total and they can get there. I mean, that's a weapon, but when they get help from the defense, and they did against BYU, they scored 2 defensive touchdowns right at the start of each half. I mean, that's massive, because that's more than just 7 points. That's getting free points that the offense didn't have to get, and now you're putting the other team on its heels a little bit there. So this defense is good. It is certainly better, and it had to get better for them to have a chance to take that next step. So I think obviously this start has done wonders for them, and the biggest thing is probably their confidence. Those guys believe, they said all week after the game against BYU and even during availability this week, they said, we think we're the best defense in the country. So, you should think that, right? I think I'm the best looking guy in the country. I'm not, but I think so.
You have to
so you might as well think that kind of that way and see where it gets you. So, they're doing all the right things, man, and they're putting in the work and they're putting in the time too. They're not just saying good things and hoping things happen. They're backing up the talk and trying to make it happen. So that's what's so cool about this week. It's a big game. It's on ABC. It's a big time challenge, a big time opportunity, and it'll give them the chance to really learn about themselves. And look, if they go down, even if they don't win, they can gain a lot from this game. And Leipold will be the first to tell you that moral victories are the worst things in the world, but they can still mean something. And so even if they, let's say this is a 38-31 loss, they'll walk out of there feeling okay about that. I mean, maybe not in the moment, but in the days to come, they'll say, look, we were right there with the team that's ranked 3rd in the country and the team that went to Bama and beat Bama. Like, we're in some pretty good company if that's the case. But they got to do it, because you'd hate to see 55-10 was the score up here last year, and Texas just absolutely dominated. And if that happens, then what you worry about from the Kansas perspective is obviously the confidence taking a hit, but also the fan interest. And I don't know that's anything can happen. We realize that, but I don't see that being the case. I think KU's tough enough, experienced enough, competitive enough, and well coached enough to go down there and give it a good fight.
Matt, about a minute here. Kansas has beaten Texas. We know the shocking win when Charlie Strong was the head coach, and then, of course, a couple of years ago in Austin with that dramatic finish. Those were shocking, no matter if Texas was up or down during the years in which they lost to Kansas. If KU beats Texas, they're 3rd in the country. They're a double-digit underdog. I get all that. But will it be a shock?
Not to me. I think probably nationally that would be the story. It would be, people are happy to jump onto that, remembering what Kansas was just 3-4 years ago and saying, look what's happening, so it would shock the people for sure. But, Rich Miller, senior linebacker, who's been with this coaching staff since their time at Buffalo, he told me the other day, he's like, we want to be a top 10 team in the country, and we think we can be. So you don't get there without winning this game. And it's just little things like that lead you to believe that these guys certainly won't be shocked if they win. But I think it's okay if everybody else is, right? Like, I don't think, people that if that were to happen and people were to walk around shocked, I don't think they're wrong. I think, especially because this Texas team looks to be really good. But look, if you've listened to Sark this week and heard the respect that he has for Leipold and for this Kansas offense and all that stuff, like, Texas won't be shocked. They'll be upset and disappointed and, a little bit pissed off, I'm sure. But, like, they know that Kansas has a good football team. And so I don't think Texas would be shocked by that. But yeah, this is it, man. This is what's so great about college football and so great about this opportunity that Kansas has. They have a chance to totally rewrite everything that everybody's ever said about them. And if they do that, if they win this game, find a way to play a perfect game and win the game somehow, I don't know how next Monday they're not looked at as the Big 12 favorite almost. I mean, Oklahoma would still be in the mix, K-State, of course, and some others. But you just went to Texas and won. It's early still, but boy, you'd have to be considered at least among the favorites, and that's really, really rare territory. And things would really take off from there. But we'll see what happens. I think it's going to be a hell of a game. I think it's going to be a great atmosphere, and I've been down to that stadium a bunch of times to cover this game, and I've never seen it full. I've never seen it good. They never care when Kansas comes to town because they've never had to care, But I'm expecting a lot of caring in this one. They're ranked third, and they know KU's good. This should be an awesome, awesome game.
Matt, thank you very much. Great stuff. Matt Tait, R1S1Sports.com, Wave the Wheat, and his thoughts about KU, Texas, Saturday, that game down in Austin.
Yeah, it's going to be fun.